recently, people haven't been too fond of your boy, Donald. Seems to be that the general consensus with MAGA is for the first 100 days, he hasn't really lived up to what he promised. We're gonna take a deep dive into all things MAGA. But before we do that, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And make sure to follow me on other social medias as well. Okay? Link in the description. Okay, yeah, I guess go do that. The leader of the Republican Party, Donald J. Trump, failed to execute on eliminating Obamacare in his first 100 days. Fast forward 100 days, and the only thing that got killed was Paul Ryan's dignity in the Republican group chat. Donald J. Trump also failed to combine both Canada, Mexico, and the United States together, creating one central North America. And some would call it CUM, or in other words, come. Which reminds me a little bit of the first time that I had a race. Oh my gosh. Which one of us gonna get to the egg first? He got blue balls. Speaking of the border, he also failed to build a wall bigger than Shaq on stilts. He still has allowed Mexico to not pay for the wall in which he issued during his presidential campaign. This wall was supposed to be bigger and stronger than Kanye's ego, fell short, and instead America got some prototypes in a desert that looked like rejected COD maps. Also, fun fact, the wall actually got blown over by the wind. Even Cardi B's nails has better structural integrity than that. MAGA has also had a lot of issues with Donald J. Trump, often stating that he never drained the swamp. The only thing that should be getting drained, well, we'll keep that to ourselves. And term limits, another obfuscated point that Donald J. Trump made during his first 100 days is that he would induce term limits for Congress, which is pretty hysterical based on how many limits he's earned. If you truly thought he was going to impose term limits, that's generally the same as Elon Musk tweeting, I actually do care about ethics. Yeah, I care about people's opinion a lot. Trump talked about term limits once and then got distracted by a squirrel with a Russian accent. Restoring law and order was another fail in the first 100 days of the Donald Trump presidency, which makes sense because yeah, shouting law and order in all caps is a really testimony on Twitter basically stating that all crime is under control now. So don't tell Bruce Banner he's out of a job. Trump also failed to introduce the infrastructure bill. Stargate. Does anybody remember Stargate? Last we checked, Stargate was supposed to be a huge infrastructure bill that elongated over a long period of time to sustain the infrastructure of America today. But the infrastructure bill was so undercooked, Gordon Ramsay slapped it and called it Brexit on a plate. Man. Trump has also imposed many tariffs on China. So many that people are starting to go out of business. Unfortunate, right? I know. And he also labeled China a currency manipulator. Could you believe that? Because like every toxic ex, he needed China to keep its economy from flatlining. Like Fire Festival too. Which brings us to another huge lie from Donald J. Trump. Tax reform for the middle class. Oh, brilliant. That's how we solve this wealth inequality disparity. By not executing on it. Oh. We got tax cuts if you're a hedge fund manager with a private jet, a second yacht, and a yacht named Trickle Down Effect. Everyone else got, $12 in a Red Lobster coupon. So why doesn't MAGA like him now? Because MAGA expected Jesus with a spray tan, and instead they got a guy who sells NFTs and meme coins, okay? And he's dressed like Captain Crunch in a Dollar Tree Iron Man suit. But there's a few lists of the reasons why. He's more obsessed with Truth Social than the actual truth. He said he'd fight for the working man, then hired Betsy DeVos, whose idea of poor people is staff without yachts. He fumbled Roe v. Wade, then double fumbled by not backing it hard enough for evangelicals. And currently he's now beefing with Ron DeSantis like two Karens fighting over who gets the last pink Glock at a Bass Pro shopping store. So in the first 100 days, the promises aged worse than a Subway tuna sandwich. Walls half finished. Healthcare is still going down the drain. And speaking of going down the drain, what happened to Luigi? Oh my gosh. Man, so while we still deal with a capital circus, and the swamp is still swamping. If we look on the brighter side, at least we have a space force. Yeah, kinda. Oh, but now they're looking to defund NASA's space agency. Oh my gosh. And that's important. The frontier of science develops our frontier of technology and our understanding of the cosmos. So without that, we won't have anything to look forward to. It'll just be a only religious-based economy. No. And if that all wasn't enough, even when the country's on fire, like we're not spending billions on imaginary stuff, it's like a Fortnite season 20 said potential, we have to look on the brighter side, the greater days, the times when, even when times look bad, at least they can get worse. But in all seriousness, we'll have to look at some of the promises that he did make. So within his first 100 days, what did Donald J. Trump expel on? Let's take a look. I promise you they are going to love this one. And then somehow, some way, within beefing with windmills and tweeting like he had a ghost in his pants, Donald J. Trump did keep a few promises that he did make. He did. It's like finding out Tekashi 6ix9ine actually passed a drug test. Unbelievable, but technically true. Number 1, tax cuts for corporations and the wealthy. He said he'd cut taxes, and he did. Tax cuts and Jobs Acts of 2017 was like Oprah for billionaires. You get a deduction. You get a deduction. Tax cuts were so generous, Jeff Bezos started tipping in Bitcoin just to look generous, kind of like Kylie. He secondly reformed the Criminal Justice Act. Yes, that is what he did. The First Step Act passed under Trump, giving a second chance to non-violent offenders and reducing mandatory minimums. For a moment, it felt like Trump almost actually cared. And
Really gonna do?
oh, passing that act was like when Logan Paul tried to film a serious documentary. And on the bright side, he finally recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital. He said that he would move the US Embassy to Jerusalem, and he did. It's a bold move that had the Middle East looking like a GTA 6 map. Very unstable and full of a lot of weird side quests. Which on the other hand, he also withdrew from the climate change agreement with Paris. Because nothing screams patriot more like telling the planet, actually, y'all can cook. We're just gonna turn the AC on. He reworked the NAFTA deal, the USMCA. He renegotiated NAFTA, renamed it USMCA, and declared victory just like he invented sliced bread, even though it was just, NAFTA with a ring light and Botox, basically. Another promise that he did execute on was that he got conservative judges in the whole Supreme Court takeover. Think about that. 3 Supreme Court justices and a ton of federal judges later, boom, we're back. Another great promise that was made is that he steamrolled ISIS. He promised to take them out, and to be fair, he did. Under his watch, the caliphate did get wiped out, like a Snapchat story. He pulled out of the Iran nuclear war deal. He said it was the worst deal ever, so he pulled out, like a bad ex-boyfriend who thinks ghosting is a personality trait. He took a trade war on China. He slapped tariffs on China, started a trade war, and tanked all of the stock market. Farms, tech, produce, you name it, it's gone. Hey, but a promise was kept. Even if it played out like a TikTok trend that ultimately ended up getting people sued. He also got NATO allies to increase spending. Just a little. He nagged Europe so hard that they finally upped their military. Finally, some budgets, shut them up and basically bullied NATO like it owed him some V-Bucks. And just like that, the military spending went through the roof, sparked up a tree, a lot of green fell, and a lot of green got wasted, and then it turned brown. And then the leaves were just nothing but trash because we have a never-ending spending deficit that I don't even know how we're gonna make up. Who do we owe? The aliens? And also ended the Trans-Pacific Partner Agreement, or the TPP, in shorter terms as an acronym. Another global deal? Oh, he dumped it like a side chick caught liking an Obama Instagram post. You know what I mean? So all in all, he did check a few boxes, but let's be for real. Every promise he kept, there were 3 others that he somewhat ghosted. It's like a Tinder date who brings up astrology too soon. He kept promises the way a drunk uncle keeps secrets. Loud, sloppy, and usually followed by an FBI subpoena. So that being said, H&K team, hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like, comment, follow, and subscribe for more. I'll see you when you're older.